21 Darkest Family Secrets, hidden by Hollywood's greatest stars. Glittering premieres, elegant mansions, and adoring fans. The stars of Hollywood's golden age seem to live charmed lives. But behind those dazzling smiles and carefully posed family portraits lurked secrets so shocking that the powerful studio system spent millions to keep them hidden. These weren't just minor indiscretions. They were life-altering family secrets that would have shattered the pristine images audiences cherished. During Hollywood's golden age, 1920s to 1960s, stars were crafted personas, not just actors. Studios like MGM and Paramount controlled every detail of their lives, often fabricating entire identities. Publicists and fixers buried scandals, and contracts gave studios immense power. Today, with memoirs and studio records emerging, we're finally uncovering the personal sacrifices and secrets these icons kept hidden to preserve their carefully manufactured images. Hidden identities and origins. 1. Merle Oberon, the star who erased her heritage. When audiences gazed at Merle Oberon's exotic beauty in films like Wuthering Heights, they were told she hailed from aristocratic British roots in Tasmania, Australia. The truth, this Oscar-nominated actress was born Estelle Merle O'Brien Thompson in Bombay, India, in 1911. The daughter of a 12-year-old Anglo-Indian mother and her British employer. The reality of Oberon's birth was even more troubling. Her biological mother was actually the victim of sexual assault by her own stepfather, making Merle the product of this abuse. To shield the young girl from this horrific truth, Merle was raised believing her grandmother was her mother and her actual mother was her older sister. When Merle became a star, the studio created an entirely fictitious background, claiming she was from Tasmania, a location chosen specifically because its records had been destroyed in a fire, making verification impossible. She maintained this fiction throughout her life, even refusing to visit Australia until late in her career, when she feared exposure. The deception required constant vigilance. As she aged, Oberon underwent painful skin care treatments and specialized lighting to conceal her mixed-race complexion. Even her husband and children weren't told the truth. This wasn't mere vanity. In an era of strict racial boundaries, the revelation of her true heritage would have ended her career instantly. 2. Rita Worth, transformation of a Latina star. The woman who became the definitive American love goddess began life as Margarita Carmen Canino, daughter of Spanish dancer Eduardo Canino. Studio heads saw potential in the talented dancer, but considered her too exotic for mainstream appeal. The solution, a complete identity transformation. Columbia Pictures executive Harry Kahn oversaw her reinvention. Her naturally dark hair was dyed auburn. Her hairline painfully altered through electrolysis to appear less Latin, and her name changed to Rita Worth. The studio fabricated a more acceptable background, downplaying her Spanish heritage. But this public transformation masked a far darker family secret. Behind Rita's glamorous image lay a childhood of abuse. Her father, Eduardo, had forced her to perform as his dance partner from age 12, touring casinos and frontier towns. During these tours, Rita endured sexual abuse at the hands of her own father. Devastating secret she only revealed years later to her second husband, Orson Welles. While audiences were enchanted by the sensual confidence Worth displayed in films like Gilda, she privately struggled with crippling insecurity and a pattern of destructive relationships. "They go to bed with Gilda and wake up with me," she once lamented. Despite becoming one of Hollywood's most iconic stars, Worth struggled to escape the trauma of her hidden childhood and the erasure of her cultural identity. 3. Jack Nicholson, the sister who was really his mother. In 1974, Jack Nicholson learned a stunning truth. The woman he believed was his sister, June, was actually his mother. His mother, Ethel, was really his grandmother. To hide June's unwed pregnancy in 1937, the family fabricated their roles so convincingly that Jack only discovered the truth at age 37 through a Time magazine reporter. Both women had died before he learned the truth. Though not traumatized, Nicholson reflected deeply on his past. His story highlights the intense stigma around unwed motherhood in mid-century America, where families often restructured reality to protect reputation, an experience shared by many during that time. For Bobby Darin, the grandmother he called mother. When teen idol Bobby Darin burst onto the music scene with hits like Splish Splash and Mac the Knife, he presented the image of a confident, ambitious young performer. Behind this brash exterior, however, was a young man whose entire identity was built on a family fiction similar to Nicholson's. Born Robert Walden Casado in 1936, Bobby grew up in the Bronx believing that Polly Casado was his mother and Nina was his older sister. The truth was that his sister Nina was actually his biological mother, who had become pregnant at 17 out of wedlock. To avoid scandal, Polly, who was actually his grandmother, claimed Bobby as her own child. Unlike Nicholson, who discovered the truth through a journalist, Darin learned his family secret from Nina herself in the late 1960s. By then, he was in his 30s, married to actress Sandra Dee, and had established himself as a versatile performer. The revelation devastated him, particularly because he had idolized Polly, the woman he knew as his mother. Friends reported that Darin was never quite the same after learning the truth. Already suffering from a weakened heart due to childhood rheumatic fever, the emotional shock contributed to a period of soul-searching and identity crisis. He abandoned his carefully cultivated image, grew a mustache, moved to Big Sur, and began focusing on folk music and political causes. The revelation came at a time when Darin was already facing health challenges. 5. Lon Chaney Sr., the silent film master shaped by Silent Parent. Known as the Man of 1,000 Faces, Lon Chaney became famous for his extraordinary ability to transform himself through makeup and physical contortion in silent film classics like The Phantom of the Opera and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. What audiences didn't know was that Chaney's remarkable talent for nonverbal expression had its roots in his childhood. Both his parents were deaf. Born in 1883 to Frank and Emma Chaney, young Lon grew up in a household where sign language was the primary means of communication. His parents' deafness was not something Chaney discussed publicly. In the early 1900s, disabilities were often viewed with ignorance, pity, and Chaney fiercely protected his parents from potential mockery or exploitation. This family circumstance profoundly shaped Chaney's artistic development. From childhood, he became extraordinarily skilled at pantomime and facial expression, abilities that would later make him one of cinema's most versatile actors during the silent era. His unique understanding of how to communicate emotion without words gave him an unparalleled advantage. Chaney's first marriage revealed how deeply private he was about his family background. According to biographers, his first wife, Clever Tone, only discovered his parents were deaf when she met. As Chaney hadn't previously disclosed this fact, their relationship reportedly suffered partly due to her insensitive reaction. 6. Gene Tierney. Tragedy from a fan's thoughtless act. Gene Tierney, famous for roles in Laura and Heaven Can Wait, concealed a tragic family secret. In 1943, while pregnant, Tierney contracted rubella after a fan who broke quarantine to meet her unknowingly infected her. As a result, her daughter Daria was born with severe disabilities, including deafness, partial blindness, and developmental delays. Fearing public backlash, Tierney and her husband, Oleg Cassini, privately placed Daria in an institution, a decision kept hidden from the public. Tierney's mental health deteriorated as she struggled with guilt, leading to hospitalizations and electroshock therapy. Years later, Tierney learned that the same fan who caused the infection had mentioned their meeting, though she said nothing. Tierney's grief and guilt remained throughout her life, and it wasn't until her 1979 autobiography that she revealed the painful story behind her seemingly glamorous public persona. This personal tragedy also inspired Agatha Christie's novel, The Mirror Cracked from Side to Side, though few connected it to Tierney's life. 7. Clara Bow, America's first ITG girl, and her horrific origins. Clara Bow, the 1920s girl and first American sex symbol, rose from poverty to stardom, but her real life was marked by trauma. Born in Brooklyn in 1905, she endured abuse and instability. Her mother once tried to kill her, and Clara later revealed she was sexually assaulted by her father. studios hid her past, crafting a false image of a carefree flapper. Behind the scenes, she battled anxiety, insomnia, and likely PTSD. Her mental health declined, leading to an early retirement at 28. Only decades later did biographers uncover the tragic truth behind her dazzling Hollywood persona. Double lives and fabricated personas. 8. Raymond Burr. The Phantom Family he invented. As the star of television's immensely popular Perry Mason series, Raymond Burr projected an image of integrity and moral fortitude. Off-screen, however, Burr lived a life of elaborate fiction. Not because he was dishonest by nature, but because the truth about his personal life would have destroyed his career in the homophobic 1950s and 1960s. Burr, who was gay, invented a tragic backstory to explain his unmarried status. He claimed to have been married to a woman named Annette Sutherland, who supposedly died in a plane crash during World War II. He further embellished this fiction by saying they had a son who died of leukemia as a child. Neither this wife nor this son ever existed. They were complete fabrications created to deflect questions about his bachelor status. The extent of Burr's fictional biography is remarkable. He provided detailed accounts of his marriage in interviews complete with dates and poignant anecdotes. He claimed to have married and lost another wife, Laura Andrina Morgan, to cancer, another fabrication. While Burr did marry once briefly in the 1940s to actress Isabella Ward, the relationship was short-lived and childless. Behind this elaborate smoke screen, Burr maintained a 35-year relationship with his male partner, Robert Benbites. The couple lived together on a vineyard they developed in California. Their relationship known only to a small circle of trusted friends. When reporters pressed too hard about his personal life, Burr would shut down inquiries with a curt, "I don't discuss that." 9. Rock Hudson, the marriage of convenience. In the 1950s, Rock Hudson was Hollywood's leading man. Handsome, charming, and marketed as the ideal bachelor. In reality, he was a gay man forced to hide his identity. When rumors threatened to expose him in 1955, his agent arranged a sham marriage to Secretary Phyllis Gates to preserve his image. The staged union ended in 1958, having served its purpose. Hudson resumed his secret life, maintaining a straight persona publicly while living authentically in private. His 1985 AIDS diagnosis exposed the truth and marked a shift in public awareness. His story reflects Hollywood's extreme measures to protect star personas. 10. Spencer Tracy, the Catholic, his wife, and Katharine Hepburn. Spencer Tracy, known for his moral strength in films like Boytown, faced a hidden personal struggle. Married to Louise Treadwell in 1923, Tracy was devastated when their son John was born deaf. Believing it was divine punishment for his own sins, Tracy's guilt contributed to his battles with alcoholism and depression. Publicly, the couple was seen as devoted philanthropists. But by the late 1930s, their marriage had ended, though they never divorced. In 1941, Tracy began a 26-year relationship with Katharine Hepburn, which remained largely secret due to Tracy's Catholic beliefs and refusal to divorce Louise. Hepburn and Tracy maintained separate lives, and their relationship was hidden from the public. Hepburn accepted the situation, never pushing for marriage or acknowledgement. Tracy's image as a family man was carefully managed by studio publicity, while Hepburn was seen as just a friend. This arrangement lasted until Tracy's death in 1967. Only after his passing did Hepburn speak about their relationship, respecting Louise's privacy. Their story highlights how Hollywood's carefully constructed public personas often masked complex private realities. 11. Joan Crawford, Mommy Dearest behind closed doors. Joan Crawford meticulously crafted her public image as a glamorous Hollywood star and devoted mother to her 4 adopted children. Fan magazines showcased her disciplined family life, presenting her as a model of maternal care. However, her eldest daughter, Christina, revealed a darker reality in her 1978 memoir, Mommy Dearest, published a year after Crawford's death. The book described Crawford as an abusive alcoholic mother, subjecting Christina to physical beatings, psychological torment, and bizarre punishments such as the infamous no-wire hangers incident. While Crawford's younger daughters disputed Christina's claims, the memoir altered public perception of the star. Additionally, it was later revealed that Crawford's youngest children were allegedly adopted through Georgia Tann, a notorious baby broker involved in child trafficking. Though Crawford likely wasn't aware of Tann's criminal activities, this aspect further complicated her maternal legacy. Crawford's carefully crafted image of a loving, disciplined mother starkly contrasted with the abuse described in Christina's book, which later became a film. Mommy Dearest